grade 7, this is Mrs. Lopez. We are on Module 3 in 7th grade. However, we are incorporating Module 2 in this Module 3 lesson. We are working on understanding equations and how to make an equation out of a word problem and then solving it. So we are going to go ahead and start with number 1, youth group trip. The youth group is going on a trip to an amusement park in another part of the state. The trip costs each group member $150, which includes $85 for the hotel and 2 one-day combination entrance and meal plans. So we are asked to write and solve an equation representing the cost of the trip. Let P be the cost of the park pass. So one thing here that we need to understand is that the park pass right here is the combination entrance and meal plan. Okay. I don't know why they're not wording it this way. It just becomes very confusing, but the park pass is that. Okay. So we know that the trip costs each group member 150. And in that 150, we have 85 for the hotel and 2 park passes. Okay. So 85, if I add 85 and the 2 park passes, which are denoted to be the P, that would equal the cost of the trip, which is $150. That's our equation right here. So all we need to do is to solve the equation to find what the park pass is. So first thing we will do is to add the additive inverse to both sides of our equation. So we'll do negative 85 plus 85 plus 2p equals 150 plus negative 85. So now negative 85 and 85 make a 0. We have 2p left, and that equals 65. And then to find out what p is, we are multiplying 2p by the reciprocal of 2, which is 1/2. Both sides. And when we do that, our p equals to 32.5. 32 and 5/10. That means that the park pass costs $32.50. Okay? That is it. Second one. Suppose you want to buy your favorite ice cream bar while at the amusement park and it costs $2.89. If you purchase the ice cream bar and 3 bottles of water, you pay with one $10 bill and receive no change, then how much did each bottle of water cost? Write and solve an equation to model the situation. Okay, so they don't tell us what to call an x. So we are going to find that out. We have one ice cream bar. It says the ice cream bar, and that is that. We also buy 3 bottles of water, and we pay $10 and we get no change. So that means that this is our total cost, right? So if I combine $2.89 and I add 3 water bottles, let's call it B for the bottle, maybe, and that will equal $10. We need to make sure that we write that B stands for the water bottle. Okay. So now my first step is to add the additive inverse, negative 2 and 89 hundredths plus 2 and 89 hundredths plus 3b will equal 10 plus negative 2 and 89 hundredths. So we will have 3b equals 7 and 11 hundredths. And then I would multiply by the reciprocal or multiplicative inverse, 1/3, to have 1b on its own. So I will have 1b left. And when I multiply 7 and 11 hundredths by 1/3 or divide by 3, I can get 2 and 37 hundredths. That means the water bottle would cost, so it would cost right here. The cost of the water bottle is $2.37. The cost of the water bottle is $2.37. That was the question. How much did each bottle of water cost? And that's our answer. It matches our question. It means we did the right thing. Okay. Number 2, weekly allowance. Kim receives a weekly allowance from her parents. She spent half of this week's allowance at the movies, but earned an additional $4 for performing extra chores. If she did not spend any additional money and finished the week with $12, what is Kim's weekly allowance? Okay, so right away, write and solve an equation that can be used to find the original amount of Kim's weekly allowance. Okay, so let's call the weekly allowance an x. So we will write right away, let x be the weekly allowance. Now that we know it, we can use that x as the weekly allowance. We know that she has the weekly allowance that we don't know. That is our x. We also know that she spent half of the allowance at the movies. So since she spent it, we take that 1/2 of the allowance from it, from the weekly allowance, right? Notice I'm writing 1/2 of the allowance, it's 1/2 x, to be able to subtract these two, okay? And then we know that she earned additional $4, so we are adding $4 for the extra chores. If she did not spend any additional money and finished the week with $12, what is Kim's weekly allowance? We know that after all this, she did not do anything else with the money, and she is left with 12, equals 12. Our job is to find the x. First, my first step is going to be to combine like terms. I will change subtraction into addition of the opposite, and I will have 1/2 x left. 1 minus a half is a half. 1x minus 1/2 x is 1/2 x. 1/2 x plus 4 equals 12. My next step is to add additive inverse to be able to find out what that 1/2 x is. So 1/2 x plus 4 plus negative 4 equals 12 plus negative 4. 1/2 x would equal 8. Now, my next step is to multiply by the reciprocal, or multiplicative inverse. Multiplicative inverse of 1/2 is 2. So I'm multiplying both sides of the equation by 2. 2 and 2 get simplified, right, 2 over 1, and you will have 1x left, and that equals 16. That means that she had $16 to start with. Her weekly allowance is $16. All right, let's check if that answer makes sense. So we know that she spent half of it. Half of 16 is 8. She spent $8 at the movies. She's left with $8. and then she received additional 4, so 8 plus 4 is 12, and that's how much she had left. So that works. Our problem is solved correctly. Kim's goal is to save $100 for her beach trip at the end of the summer. Use the amount of weekly allowance you found above to write and solve an equation to determine the number of weeks Kim must work to meet her goal. Okay, so we know that her weekly allowance is $16. And if she doesn't spend any money, we need to find out how many weeks she needs to work to be able to save $100. So let's call X is the number of weeks she needs to work. Let X be the number of weeks Okay, so if the weekly allowance is 16, and I take that weekly allowance and multiply it by the number of weeks, which is X, I should get $100. That's my equation. That's all I need to know. Because we know that she's not going to spend any money. We are not given any other details about what she's going to do with it. We just need to find out how much she needs to save, how much money, how many weeks it will take her to save that $16 until she gets to 100. So we are going to multiply by the reciprocal because 16 times x is 100. We are multiplying by the multiplicative inverse, 1/16 on both sides. And x will equal 16 and 16 get simplified. We have 1x left. And x equals 6 and 25 hundredths. Okay, 6 and 25 hundredths. We can't say that she can work 6 1/4 week because she gets weekly allowance for a week. So she needs to work 7 weeks to be able to save 100. So she needs to work 7 weeks. Okay, next question. Travel baseball team. Jacob is very excited about joining a travel baseball team for the fall season. He needs to save money to pay for expenses, uniforms, travel, and meals. If Jacob buys 4 uniform shirts at one time, he receives a $10 discount. The total cost with the discount is $44. Write and solve an equation to find the original price of one shirt. Okay, so let's look at what we have here. We know that he's buying 4 uniforms. We know that there is a discount that is taken out of the original price. And we also know that the total cost after the discount is applied is $44. And we need to write and solve an equation to find the original price. So let x be original price. Let x be the original price of one shirt. Okay, so we know that there will be 4 of those shirts, so we will call them 4x. We know that there is a discount, so when we multiply 4 by the number of shirts, we will get the price of the 4 shirts. And we also know that there is a $10 discount that was taken out of the total. So we will subtract 10 from it, and the total cost is going to be $44. To solve this equation, I'm going to add the additive inverse. But before I do that, I need to make sure that I change subtraction to addition of the opposite. So now I have 4x plus negative 10, and the additive inverse of it is 10. So we're adding 10 equals 44 plus 10. So 4x will equal 54. And to find out what x is we are going to multiply by the reciprocal of 4, which is 1/4, and x will equal 13 and 5/10. So what is the cost per shirt with the discount? The cost per shirt with the discount, that will be 13.50, right? Because we already applied the discount to it. No, never mind. Never mind. Sorry. Just it took me a little bit long to figure it out. But with the discount is when our money is taken out, right? So let's see. We have 13.50, and that is original price, actually without the discount, because we added it back, right? So to get it with the discount, we will need to do something else. Sorry, I have to switch this around a little bit. I'm going to go to part C right now. How much more do you pay per shirt if you buy them one at a time without the discount? So this one is actually without the discount. Okay, so this one will be without the discount. I have to put this here in part C because we applied the discount, but then we had to remove it to be able to find that cost. Okay, let's see how much it will be if I don't apply that, if I just do the original. So if I have cost of 4 shirts and X is still the shirt, and that equals $44, okay, and I would divide 44 by 4, or I mean multiply by the reciprocal, 1/4 on both sides, I will get X equals 11. So the original price with the discount is going to be $11. Okay, so I just went back and I checked with the proper way of doing it, and it looks like in this copy there was a typo made. So without the discount is when we have that part A. So that's I did that correctly. I moved this one here. And without the discount is because 44 already has a discount, and we are giving it back to that 44, and that is without the discount. So that part A and B, they're going to be here in the part C. Part C, without the discount, with the discount, it moves back to part A. Because right now, $44 is already, discount has been applied. And with the discount, it's going to be $11. Okay, so the problem solved. Here we have the cost with the discount is $11. The cost without the discount is $13.50, because here we're putting that discount back to find out what the discount per shirt without the discount is going to be. Okay, so sorry about the confusion. There was a typo that somebody else made, so we have to rearrange things around. Okay, all right. D. Jacob is also required to buy 2 pairs of pants and 2 hats, which totals $68. A pair of pants costs $12 more than the hat. Write and solve an equation to find the price of a hat. Okay, so we need the price of a hat, but we also know that we have 2 pairs of pants and we have 2 hats, and the whole thing is $68. We also know that the pair of pants costs $12 more than a hat, but we don't know anything about the hat. So we are going to call a hat an x. So let x be the cost of the hat. Then the cost of the pants is going to be $12 more than a hat, so x plus 12. We know that we have two pairs of two pairs of pants and two hats. So we will need to have two groups of x plus 12, and we'll need two groups of x. And the total cost is 68. So now we have here a distributive property that we will have to apply to find out what the hat costs. So we will have 2x plus 24 plus 2x equals 68. From there, we will have 4x, because we are combining 2x and 2x, plus 24 equals 68. And then we are going to add the additive inverse to find out what 4x is. So we will have 4x plus 24 plus the opposite, negative 24, equals 68 plus negative 24. So we will have 4x equals 44. And we are multiplying by the reciprocal, 1/4, 1/4, and our x equals 11. So the cost of a hat is $11. Problem E is asking us what the cost of one pair of pants, and the pants is x plus 12, so it will be 11 plus 12, and that is $23. Just put it here, $23. Okay, so now we have a homework. The homework is, for the most part, is just two-step equations, no word problems, and there is one problem, word problem that you will need to solve. Good luck, and I will see you in class.